Hey, everybody, welcome to eChannelNews. We've got James Davis. And of course, he's obviously been in the cybersecurity business for a while with Paxade and so on. But now he's got a new gig going on, the TSP Advisory. So we're going to find out what he's up to and see what's going on. James, welcome. How are you?
Thanks, mate. Great. I'm going great. Great start to 2025. It's awesome to see you and talk about what's going on in the world.
Yeah, but every time I hear your voice, man, I'm thinking Crocodile Dundee. The croc, and I get it. Bad joke, but let's move on. James, give us a rundown. Tell us what is the TSP Advisory?
So, TSP Advisory, I've started up a firm to work with the leading technology solution partners in the APAC region. So basically, I'm acting as a chief strategy officer in a fractional function for them. And basically, that's meaning I'm getting my hands a bit dirty in these organizations to understand the owners, founders' vision, and then helping them actually articulate that into a strategy and a plan and help them transform for the next decade ahead. A lot of the traditional models around MSP, SI, VAR are tanking. They're not making as much margins anymore. So I'm helping these organizations reshape themselves to that modern technology solutions partner for the future to meet their client needs.
Well, it's a big task, my friend, but you know what? You know, you and I both know, and then you've been talking about the MSP community for a while about how they're challenged, how they think about cybersecurity, how they're approaching it, and you've given them all sorts of information about how they could, improve their game. At the end of the day, they're not doing it as fast and as much as we'd like them to do it. And so it's sort of like, yeah, sounds great, but it's just not getting there. So I guess what you're doing right now is like, okay, I'm going to roll up my sleeves. I'm going to come in there and I'm going to help you kind of like get the job done. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, a lot of especially down in this part of the world, there really is a leadership talent gap. And when I talk about that, it's more there's a lot of good people, but there's not really the level of experience. We're almost missing this generation of people in their mid to late 40s, in their 50s, that have got all the life experience, have been around the industry and can help shape and transform things. We're missing a lot of those guys. Most of them are the owners, founders of the businesses, and the ones that grew up in the industry have moved on. They've gone to corporate, they've left the industry, they started their own businesses. So often I'm in these companies, I'm seeing most of the leaders are in their late 20s to mid 30s, and it's the biggest job they've ever had. So not only are they trying to understand their role, become better managers and leaders themselves, they've also got to deal with all these changing dynamics in the market and in the industry, and it's quite overwhelming. So I thought I'd dive in and actually help fill that gap to help guide these great leaders to that sort of next maturity step and that transformation that they need to go through.
It's something that's needed a lot of MSPs. So James, in your chatting and understanding with all these MSPs, what are the let's go through one, two, or three things that you feel that they must do to become relevant in the future?
I think the big number one is we need to change our perspectives from technology first to business first. And we need to elevate ourselves to advisory led, because if we look at our journey from MSP, a traditional MSP, we started where technology wasn't that great in SMB space. We're having to be the white knight to come in and fix everything so it stayed stable. Then we realized with the managed services model, we could fix price our support and infrastructure management to actually maintain things. And as technology has changed, as networks have become better, as we've migrated to the cloud, that sort of traditional need for so much end user support and um, I guess standardization of environments has gone away, and we haven't adapted to that. And what clients are starting to find now is they need someone that can actually understand their business and then help them reduce risk, increase their efficiency, or enable scale and growth with the use of technology. And through that, that's where all these different opportunities come. But this is where the first hurdle of transformation is starting. Like when you mentioned that MSPs are slowly not adapting to this fast enough, it's because they're not actually going out and talking to their clients. They're sitting in, focused in on themselves, trying to find the next greatest RMM, the next shiny little tool or cybersecurity control that they can do that's very technical, and that's their comfort space. But what really matters is actually going out and engaging with our clients to understand their business and then be able to provide advice so it's actually going to help them achieve their strategic objectives. And that's where the real money is to be made. And that's where so few are actually adapting to that space.
James, sometimes you'd wonder why that is not the norm, because it's just obvious common sense, right? If you and I had an MSP, that's, we understand the customer's DNA from the inside out, and then baking it out from the back end, moving forward to help them leverage technology, and as if that was not enough, right? There's AI, right? That is sort of like this massive tidal wave that we see coming closer and closer. That's already getting their feet wet. And we need to also help companies to understand how to leverage AI in this new 2025 plus moving forward. So if you can't get the basics done, how are you going to talk about AI? I mean, what's the connection?
And this is the challenge. If we look at our traditional MSPs, or even extended out to VARs and SIs, we've very much been playing in our own little spaces. So if MSP I spoke about, we started from the end user support and infrastructure management side. The SIs have typically been in their sort of technology vertical, doing professional services led organizations, and then VARs have traditionally been that hardware product focused reseller. And what's happened is, as technology has advanced, and you've pointed out AI as a big area, cybersecurity is another big area, but there's 12 real solution category areas with a whole bunch of subcategories under it. Those technologies have become more and more available to the SMB space. And so what we've traditionally had to do is a lot thinner, but it's becoming broader and broader. And so technology, while it might work better, and a lot of it's a lot less complex, the actual interconnection and the way that a business operates using technology has gotten a lot more complex. And that's where we've got to come in and actually understand that complexity. But I think this is where a lot of traditional MSPs, especially, the owners, the founders have been doing this for 15, 20 years now. They're still the founding generation. They're tired. They've carried a lot of burden. They've had a lot of sleepless nights, making sure their clients' environments run, save the day many times for them. And just this complexity of not just the productivity side, like we're talking about AI, but then the governance and compliance with the cybersecurity side, let alone then the communications and other solution categories starting to come together. It's actually completely the opposite of what the general thought process has been around for an MSP. An MSP over the sort of, say 10 years ago, the whole thought leadership was simplify your stack as much as possible, standardize it for all clients. And now I'm coming here and saying that's actually not what clients need or want anymore. And so they're having to flip that whole approach and mindset while they're tired and a lot of looking towards exit, but not actually doing anything. So we're in this sort of tipping point of volatility for a lot of people in the industry at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you wonder, have you ever thought that this would be so complicated for an MSP in 2025, right? It used to be, sell some of them computers, put a couple of servers in, charge them like a lot of money to put the plugs together, go there, train them how to use, Microsoft Word. It used to be, but now it's so complicated, and with your, it's real compliance issues and regulations and AI, and you can just keep going down and on a list. It's almost like it's difficult for one MSP to be the one neck to choke. This is why at a typical customers of size, there's about 7 partners, right? That is sort of like bringing together, their piece of the pie, if you will, and together it kind of formulates. It's difficult for an MSP to do all of these things under one umbrella. So they also need to learn how to play with other partners, right?
That's a great call out, Julian. It's yeah, like you said, in the mid-market, this has been normal that a client usually manages a whole bunch of different partners. And like you said, it's probably 7 to 10 typically. And the larger the organization, the more partners that they're using, the more specific they're focused on with each partner. But in the lower mid-market and the small micro business size, they want to work with one person. They don't have the time to manage a whole bunch of different partners. And this is where that traditional MSP, we've come from that space where we wanted to kick everyone out. We need to control and manage the environment so that it stays up. And it was quite important as we were standardizing environments that we were the sort of keys to the castle, because we needed to implement change control. We needed to create that stability for our clients. But in that, we were generalists and we did have to do most things. But as those solution categories have broadened, as a lot of technologies come down to SMB that hasn't existed before, we're not going to have the capabilities to do absolutely everything. And especially when the average MSP is like 7 people doing like $1 million revenue, you're just not going to have the people that can do uh, things like Azure, then Dynamics, and then jumping over to high level complex networking. And even if we do, we often don't have enough volume to keep that sort of talent in the business. So we need to shift our value prop away from trying to be the generalist that can do as much as possible to, again, being that advisor first, understanding that client, and then having our ecosystem of partners that we know are great. We can trust them. We have a great working relationship to bring them into different clients to do individualized projects or potentially ongoing specialized managed services as well. And so there's a real opportunity to create a lot more stickiness for the clients. We're going to deliver a lot better outcomes for the clients, which is the most important thing. But we're also going to all generate a lot more money. And I see it from, say, an SI side, a lot of, especially down in this region, a lot of those specialist AIs are hitting, SIs are hitting that ceiling of growth, and they're sensing that they need to work with a partnership model. But a lot of the traditional MSPs don't allow them to work together. They're still very stuck in their ways of, I'm the only person that can do this. If I bring someone else, I'm going to lose my client. And if you've got that sort of mentality, that's what's actually going to lose you the client. And that goes back to, as well, if we're not having proactive conversations to bring our clients solutions to their business challenges, they're going to go elsewhere. And I'm already seeing that client churn really ramp up in the region because of that.
It's the only future, my friend. It's they either got to get their act together, shape up, or ship out, as they say, and that is the future for sure. James, I'll leave you with the last word. What do you want those folks out there to know about, TSP and how you can help them and how to reach you?
Well, you can hit me up on LinkedIn. If you're not already following me and sick of seeing me every day, then jump on and follow me. But I'm really focused on the organisations between 30 and 200 seats down here in the APAC region to help them transform. But I don't think this is really about me. I think what I want for 2025 for a lot of people in the industry is to be more deliberate. I think it's this pivot point where you've got to decide, I'm in it for 10 years more, and knowing that I need to transform a lot of what we've spoken about today, Julian. If you don't want to do that, if that's not on your radar, then I suggest you exit. Be deliberate about exiting in the next 2 years. Valuations are going up. There's a lot more activity going on in the next couple of years. Take the opportunity to cash out on a high. Don't be what the majority of the industry is doing and just floating about year to year gambling with their business value, because as this gains momentum with clients and their needs are going to be a lot more obvious to them and the churn keeps increasing, you're just going to lose business value, and all your hard work that you've done over this 10, 15, 20 years is just going to reduce and reduce, and that exit's not going to be a successful one. So don't be that people who are just lost and floundered. That would be my advice for the year, Julian.
Good advice. And, I also like to encourage MSPs to, get with a really good organization or some people who can actually help you to understand your business valuation. I think a lot of folks don't really look to see how valuable their business is. They look at the sales and they use a few parameters, but there's a lot more things, margins and churn rates, and there's lots more data points that you need to look at. And once you start to sort of understand how the numbers look within your company, it's going to start to show you a path forward. And if you do it right, you'll be able to sell for more money. That's the first thing if you want to exit. And B, once you're doing it right, you're going to see a little bit clearer, right? More clarity of how to move forward with your business. And I think sometimes they don't understand how their business is working together, how the different moving parts. And I think the better they understand this, the better they can understand, their future in this space. So, James, good luck, my friend. I think it's a great thing you're trying to do. Tons of MSPs need this sort of help. And look, if they're not around to maintain the future of all these companies, who will be? How will they get their stuff? They can't order it from Amazon. So they better figure this stuff out, my friend. All right. Reach out to James directly on LinkedIn, and then from there, see if he can help you in that region. Thanks, James, and all the best, man. Cheers.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having me again.